YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today we're here to continue our read aloud read along of Maya Angelou's second memoir, Gathered Together in My Name. We've been reading aloud chapters of this book. We've been posting them. The last video went up a long time ago, but we are here to continue this series. So we're going to be picking up with chapter 18, which in this edition of the book begins on page 99. And I'm going to read aloud. If you have a copy of the book, I invite you to read along with me. If you don't, then just listen to me read. I'll be reading chapter 18 in its entirety today, and we'll pick up with chapter 19 next time. So for now, chapter 18 starts like this. Mama's intent to protect me had caused her to hit me in the face, a thing she had never done, and to send me away to where she thought I'd be safe. So again, the South and I had parted, and again, I was headed for the cool gray hills of San Francisco. I raged on the train that white stupidity could so dictate my movements and look unsheathed daggers at every white face I saw. If the tables could have turned at that instant, I would gladly have consigned every white person living and the millions dead to a hell where the devil was blacker than their fears of blackness and more cruel than forced starvation. But, powerless, I spent the time on the train entertaining the baby when I thought of it and wondering if I would be met by a warrant for my arrest when I returned to California. The city didn't even know I had been away. And Mother took me and the baby to a room in her new 14-room house as if I had just returned from a long-intended holiday. I found a job as a short-order cook in a tiny, greasy spoon. The men who ate there were defeated leftovers from the now-closed war plants. They slouched into the fifth-rate, dingy diner, hugging their distress. The job paid very little, and the atmosphere of despair that never lifted depressed me. I left the restaurant each afternoon, feeling that the rancid cooking oil and the old men's sadness had seeped into my pores and were crawling through my body. One afternoon, I went into a record shop across the street from the diner and found a woman who was friendly and warm behind the counter. She was white and 30-ish. And didn't condescend to either my color or my youth. When I told her that I liked blues, she pulled out some old Columbia blue labels. I said that I also like jazz, and she suggested recent Charlie Bird Parker releases. I let the music wash away the odors and moods of the restaurant, and I left the shop with more records than I could afford. I had agreed with her that I should start collecting the Dial records featuring Bird, Max Roach, Al Haig, Bud Powell, Dizzy Gillespie, and others who she said were going to be the masters. Each payday, I kept out enough money to pay my own way at Mother's and spent the rest on records and books. Mother was unhappy that my job made me unhappy. She always knew her daughter had great potential and was determined that if she had anything to do with it, I was going to realize it. Weeks later, she and I sat in the dining room and picked and poked through the classifieds for my future. I was nearly 19, had a baby, responsibilities, and no real profession. I could cook Creole and was a fast, friendly cocktail waitress. Also, I was qualified as an absentee madame, but I somehow felt that I simply had not yet found out my niche. I had just discovered that phrase and yo-yoed it around with frequent and gay abandon. Private secretary. If you could type fast enough and do shorthand. Mother was serious. Her pretty face was lined with concentration. Telephone operator. Pays pretty good. I reminded her that we'd already been through that. Key punch. Stenographer. You need training, baby. She looked at me spot on and added, anything worth doing is worth doing well. I didn't dare remind her that everything I had done had been well done. What is Alice doing? What about Jean May and the twins? What are they all doing? Going to college? Her voice and round black eyes worried me for answers. Jean May, the neighborhood's sepia Betty Grable, had a job hopping cars at a popular drive-in. I hardly had the face, figure, or sexuality to be taken in at that restaurant. Alice could be seen nightly whistling down Post Street and up Sutter, her young walk exaggerated, her thin voice insinuating the lone sailor into following 3 paces behind her to the nearest transient hotel. The twins married twins, which seemed as appalling to me as street walking. I felt there was a closet incest about the whole thing. The small percentage of classmates who went on to college had become unbearably stuck up and boring. So I found no inspiration among my peers. Companion, chauffeurette. That I could do. I immediately set a film to flickering on my mind screen. In a snacky uniform, no cap, gray serge and British Walker shoes, I drove a man around who was the spitting image of Lionel Barrymore. He always addressed me as Johnson. And while we liked and respected each other, we took pains never to show it. Late nights, he would call me to the drawing room and I would stand at attention easily. Johnson, tomorrow's a beaut. Yes, sir? We'd go up to the city, then back to the country club, then the city, then the farm. A little hard on you, I fear. It's my job, sir. I could count on you to say that, Johnson. Yes, sir. Good night. Good night, sir. Mother's gaze followed her ringed fingers up and down the page. You'd have to live in, and it doesn't really pay enough for you to afford a full-time babysitter. She flipped the paper closed. Take anything that looks like something. You can always quit, or there's a chance that you won't rise to the challenge and you'll be fired. But the only thing to remember is that you were looking for a job when you found that one. So whoever fires you ain't getting no cherry. She got up and went into the kitchen. How about a Dubonnet? Ice already clocked against the side of glasses. With a twist of lemon? I'm going to fix myself a scotch. When I was around 10 in Arkansas, I saw a glamorous actress play a jaunty chauffeurette in a movie. She maneuvered an Oldsmobile with one hand and was as chic as a model. I looked at the paper again and thought about the chauffeuring job. A wisp of nostalgia floated in my heart. The uniform, the easy camaraderie with the staff, the asexuality with my boss, and peace, just like the army. Routine, honorable work, hail fellows well met, good-hearted companions, and fair-minded officers. The army, just the thing. The idea snap-saluted in my brain. The army. I bounded into the kitchen and nearly collided with Mother and her tray of gold and purple drinks. I had developed some grace, quite a lot when I kept my mind on being graceful, but in unguarded moments, my body tended to respond giraffe-like to stimuli. Mother! She had righted the threatened glasses and pushed past me for the dining room. I'm going in the army. She set down the Dubonnet. You as a sergeant and the baby as a private? Her tongue was sharper than the creases in zoot pants, and I knew better than to try to best her. I said nothing. What would be the value of becoming a WAC? She asked. The army has all those side benefits, and I could learn a trade. There's a GI Bill, and when you get out, you can go back to school and buy a home at the same time. Side benefits had caused a glint in Mother's eyes. Now, she pushed the wine toward me. Now you have to consider if you're serious, because if you are, it would be like volunteering for jail. People tell you when to sleep, eat, wake up, work. Personally, I couldn't do it in a million years. Her face frowned revulsion. But in a way, the country would be helping you get a start in life. Behind her smooth beige forehead, deep thoughts were being turned over, examined and replaced or discarded. If you're serious and get in, we'll talk to Mrs. Peabody about taking care of the baby. You could sign up for a 2-year tour, save your money and study languages and advanced typing. She was talking my future into shape. Try out for officer candidate school or officers training corps. Nothing they could say to you but yes or no. And when you go down there, remember they need you as much as you need them. She saw my disbelief and explained. The U.S. Army needs nice colored girls, well raised from good families. That's what I meant. She reached for her lipstick tube, never far away. Government is going to give you an education and a start in life, and you're going to give class to that uniform. Mother, they would examine me physically and find out about the baby. You don't have stretch marks, and because you breastfed, your breast never got out of shape. Her words nudged past indifference. That's not what you ought to be thinking of. No. Decide if you want the army for 2 years, away from your baby and family, taking orders and keeping your temper under wraps. That's a decision no one can make for you nor help you make. She got up from the table and visited one of her flashiest smiles on me. I have a date now. We can talk more when you're ready. Remember, if you decide for the army, I'll support you. If you decide to be a whore, all I can say is be the best. Don't be a funky chippy. Go with class. She pasted a waxy kiss on my forehead and draped her Kolinsky over her shoulders. How do I look? Beautiful. She tugged the furs into a more casual drape and laughed. You always say it because it's true. Her high heels tapped toward the door in drumming rhythm. So that was chapter 18 in Maya Angelou's second memoir, Gathered Together in My Name. I hope you enjoyed it. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. If you've been enjoying these videos, we'd love to get some feedback from you if we should continue with book 3 when we're done with this one. So that's it for now, and until next time, happy reading. Bye! She always knew her daughter had great potential and was determined that if she had anything to do with it, I was going to realize it. Hey, where are you going? Come back here. You can't go away by yourself. Come. You have great potential too.